So what you need to do, you need to lay your pattern out, and you'll notice on one part of the pattern, it'll tell you to cut on the fold, and that's what you want to do. Now I have 2 layers right now, but I'm going to cut out 4 layers of the pattern on the fold of the fabric, because I found that when you cut the outer part of the bag and the inner part separately, it may not match up exactly and cause you a few problems. So once again, you want to lay your fabric out on the fold, lay your pattern out on the fold, and then pin it, and then you want to pin it down and cut as carefully as you can all the way around. Okay, so let's get cutting. Remember, you want to cut 4 on the fold. So if you've got 2 pieces of fabric here right now, you need to double this and have a fold, so you actually have 4 pieces of fabric. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. Okay, as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 layers of my fabric on that I folded in half. Now, this might look a little odd, but this fabric, see if I can show you, it has a really pretty bird pattern on there, and I want to make sure that I capture that on a certain portion of the bag that I'm gonna make. So I've got my 4 folded together, and remember what I said. The reason why I like to cut the outer pieces and the inner lining of the bag at the same time is so they're exactly even. I've tried cutting it separately before, and maybe it's just me, but I always end up not quite as perfect as it should be. So that's why I'm doing it that way. Now, if you have a pair of electric scissors, it makes it way easier to do this. And as you can see, you don't need a lot of pins because this is a really basic pattern. And I will have this pattern for sale in my Etsy store. So I'm just going to pin it, just a couple of pins so it doesn't slide around while I'm cutting it. And there. Okay. So I'm going to get my really good scissors. And this is a really heavy canvas fabric. So I'm just going to take my time and cut slowly so that I get it right. And just going to cut that little section out there. That's actually how you do the bottom part of your bag. Oh, let's see. I'm going to cut all the way through here. Make my life a little bit easier. And then just going to go ahead and cut. I can trim this up when I finish. Oh, now I have some nice little extra pieces. And this might not be the most efficient use of this particular piece of fabric, but I'm going for, like I said, I'm going for a certain look. And I want a certain part of the fabric design that I want to make sure that I get. So I'm just going to cut, I'm going to cut all the way to the edge, because this part is going to be part of your strap. And I'm going to tighten up this cut to make sure I line it up that it's a straight, because this is going to be, once again, for the strap. And then I'm going to cut all the way along here, and then we'll start stitching it together. Okay, so now I've done a whole lot of trimming, and I've got all 4 pieces cut. So hopefully they will be the same. So you've got 1 piece of your bag pattern, and I hope y'all can see that. So that is like one part, and see, I was able to get the bird on the front side, ooh, and the one on the back side. So now I'm going to lay these two pieces of fabric right sides together. Okay, and then you're gonna stitch all the way along here, and then we're gonna stitch all across the bottom, and then we're gonna stitch on the other side. And remember what I said about the reason why I cut in the 4 pieces all at once is because I want them to line up. As you can see, I got a little bit of overage, which shouldn't be that big of a deal, but I do making sure that they're going from edge to edge. They're perfectly even and straight. Now you might want to do a little pinning before you do your sewing to make sure that you stay in a straight line all the way up to the base of the strap. So let's go sew that together. Oh, and then of course you've got your inner lining, your inner part of your bag. And since this is going to be a canvas, this isn't necessarily a fancy schmancy print. I'm just going to go with a plain canvas on the inside. I'm going to do the same thing, stitch on this side and stitch on the bottom. And I'll show you how to make the corner, the bottom part of the bag. Okay? So let's go on over to the sewing machine. Okay. I've stitched the 2 right sides of the outer layer of the bag together. And I've actually laid it out on the inner lining of the bag because I want to make sure that everything lines up perfectly. And this is a really special bag that I'm making, so I really want it to be super duper perfect. So I've gone around here, and if there was anything extra showing that wasn't cut quite perfectly, I just trimmed it a little bit. And this part is, you know, up to you depending upon how exacting you want to make your bag. Okay. So as you can see, I've stitched the sides of the bag. Ooh, isn't that pretty? And I've stitched the bottom of the bag. So now it looks like this. And remember, you had your your bottom section that you just cut out a little square. And that's actually, I think, 2 by 2 square. So you cut that out. Now, what you want to do is just open it up so that your bottom seam and your side seam line up together. And you could go ahead and take this over to the ironing board and lay these out flat so these seams are flat. But I'm just going to go ahead and open them up, and I'm going to pin it down and make sure it's even. You got to look at it, you got to eyeball it. Yep, make sure that's nice and even so it doesn't pucker too badly. And, oh, still just can't get that quite right because you want it to line up nice and evenly. Otherwise, it's going to look funny. So, I'm just going to put 1 pin there. Going to open up the other side. Do the same thing. And then we're going to stitch that down. And I'll come right back and show you what that looks like. Done. Yee. Take your time with this. This is one of those areas that you want to get it right. Make sure, you know, there's no wrinkles in there. Just get another pen and just pin that where you want it. And now we're going to sew a stitch straight across here and straight across there, and that's going to be the bottom of your bag.